What's going on, everybody? It's Ben from Grappling Insider. Today, I am happy to be joined by, honestly, one of the best no-gi black belt competitors in the world. He's a CJJ World Champion, multiple-time ADCC vet, one of the stars of the B team, Ethan Crelinsten. Ethan, thanks for joining me today.
Happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Awesome.
It's a Sunday morning as we speak. Is this typically your rest day, or are you going to get anything done today?
It's definitely a down day. I'm not going to do any intense training. If I will train, it's going to be like a laid back open mat type of thing. Recovery work, active recovery stuff, nothing crazy. Get stuff done that I've been neglecting throughout the week because of training and all that shit.
Yeah, I know how that goes. And I do want to talk about, we got CJJ Worlds, the team duels coming up. We're going to talk about that for sure. I do want to talk, though, about your last appearance, your last match against Fabricio Andrey. It's about a month ago at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you've had some time to look back on it, it's a pretty spectacular win. I thought it was one of your best wins. How do you rate your performance?
Well, submission victory is, it's hard to sort of pick away what I could have done better. The pressure he applied to my guard was really good at first, but I managed to sort of extinguish the little fires that were coming up as he would sort of get to my side, get to the back. I mean, in hindsight, it's a really great win. Like you said, probably the biggest one, at least biggest one in a long time. Really happy about it. It's good to get, in like a mainstream win. I've had like wins since ADCC, but it's like not as spotlighted as a WNO submission. So yeah, it's a big deal. Fabricio's no joke. He's a tough grappler. He's a phenom coming out of Brazil. He won the second Brazil trials, I think. Yeah. So and like tore through them, did insane in the first one as well until he met his teammate Diogo. I think that's what happened, if I'm remembering that right. Yeah. It means a lot to me. It's a great win, and I'm proud of it. Happy to be, reassured that I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah. It was a fun match. I will say from a spectator's point, he looks like one of the most freaking athletic guys in that division. What did he feel like to you?
Yeah, he's definitely a freak of nature. He immediately felt crazy strong. His grips specifically were very, very strong. I think that has to do with all those guys that are so prominent in the gi. They just spend so much time like gripping fabric. So as a major no gi guy tying up with a major gi and no gi guy, it definitely it's like an outstanding thing to be aware of, versus other good no-gi guys. They just grip differently, and I think their fingers are stronger or something like that. It's my theory. I don't know how valid it is, but yeah, he felt crazy strong. He was doing these warm-ups backstage, just like jumping into a handstand and doing like handstand push-ups. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what did I get myself into here? So yeah, no, definitely strong, super athletic. Yeah.
Right on. I'm curious, what other grapplers do you like to watch, or even like learn from, for that matter?
I like watching guys that I train with, because that gives me, if I see a guy I train with go with another guy, it gives me a bit of a better gauge, like a barometer, as to not necessarily like, oh, I beat him, he beat him, therefore I beat him. It's just, I wouldn't say it's that like straightforward, but it's just like, oh, he got close to passing here. Oh, he almost got his guard pass here. He regarded, he attacked in this way and that way. And like, so just people I know, people I've trained with, really.
Right on. That makes sense. And speaking of people you trained with, let's talk about the team duels coming up. For if I have the updated squads correct, it's you, Damien, Kieran Kitchuk, Dorian Olivares from the B team.
Yes.
And Fabian Ramirez. Is that all right still?
That is correct. And Cammy Donnelly is the alternate.
Okay. So run just like break down your team for me. Tell me what can we expect to see from each of those guys, including yourself.
All right. So me and Damien, I'd say, are the sort of team captains, so to speak. it being the B team, we're going to be sort of representing more, I suppose, the brand than the other guys. So yeah, start with Damien. His last performance was insane. The first and only knockout in CJJ history. So that's huge, because like it's not so straightforward to KO a guy with open palm strikes and only if they're grounded. That's big. That demonstrates that, you know, the guy clearly has really heavy hands if he can get in the position that he needs to be in. And he wasn't even like past the guy's guard. He was just upright in standard ashigarami. So to generate KO power from there is like very intimidating, I would say, to his, you know, potential guys that he's going to face in this event coming up. So yeah, Damien's a heavy hitter for sure. I'm obviously going to be doing what I can to represent proudly. Got the CJJ belt in the closet over there, so got to make sure, you know, I take that into war and represent. Yeah. I think I'm more of the style of like cement the position and then strikes, whereas Damien's just like use the strikes to get to position. So we're like, we just play it a bit differently, and there's pros and cons to both. Kieran Kachuk, very, very savvy leg locker, dangerous grappler. I think he'll honestly, like, he'll do just as well. Being as, you know, he's not as like wrestle heavy as I am and as Damien is. He's not as like top position dominant, but his leg locks are very slick, very dangerous, and he will, you know, he will shred apart a guy's leg if he gets on it, if he's not like super cautious. Yeah. And also the thing is, like, I don't know what Kieran's game plan is. If it is to, you know, accept a guard position, I think his guard is dangerous enough so that if a guy is close enough to apply any striking damage, Kieran is already well within range to enter and attack leg locks with real threats to it, to the point where I don't think he'll take much damage striking wise. Yeah, so that covers us three. Fabian Ramirez. I haven't trained with Fabian in years, man. I think the last time we trained was maybe at Henzo's back in, and like Henzo's like even before COVID, like before the gym was winding down because of COVID and everything. So it's been a long time, but I remember he's super tough, good, just well-rounded game. We've seen him compete, you know, on the circuit in the years prior. Yeah, it's going to be cool to see what he has to do in this event. Yeah, like good leg lock, specifically good overall submissions, very scrappy, aggressive. So that's going to be good. And then last on the main team is Olivares, Dorian Olivares. Dude, this kid, he's literally a kid. 16, I think he's 16 now, unless he turned 17 recently. I think he's 16. He is going to go really far in the sport, whatever he chooses to do. I think he's going to pursue MMA, but until he makes really like the full jump to MMA, he's going to do some damage in the jiu-jitsu world for sure. He's a devastatingly technical grappler, unlimited gas tank, like all those fucking pesky kids with their giant lungs and hearts that never get tired or anything. So yeah, super interesting to see how he does and gets a chance to get out there, especially now with strikes. So I mean, it fits into his game perfectly. He's not the kind of guy to pull guard or really accept guard position. If he does get put on his butt, he's popping back up, he's grabbing out, he's gonna be hard to control. So that's really good. And I don't think anyone's gonna be able to keep up with that gas tank. So it's going to be another hot potato to handle.
It is a little unfair, teenagers competing against grown adults with problems and stress on their life, all this stuff.
Hey everyone, just dropping in real quick to say that if you like this video and you'd like to see us produce more content like this, please hit like below and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, check out grapplinginsider.com for your daily jiu-jitsu and submission grappling news, exclusive interviews just like this one, technical analysis, opinion pieces, and so much more about submission grappling. Finally, Our main goal here is to grow the support of submission grappling and jiu-jitsu, so please do your part by supporting the athletes. Go to their seminars, buy their instructionals, follow them on social media, and if you like the interview that you are watching right now, please feel free to reach out to that athlete. Let them know you are a fan. Together, we can make jiu-jitsu huge. Thanks.
Fair.
So you kind of touched on it, the difference between how you approach combat jiu-jitsu and how Damien approaches combat jiu-jitsu. And I've heard it might have been you for that matter, jiu-jitsu guys kind of say in these combat jiu-jitsu matches, they sometimes even forget they can throw strikes.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, does your training change much at all? Like, does the slapping, the striking, does that change your approach very much?
Yeah, definitely does. If I was, for example, preparing for the Fabricio match, I was in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is a jiu-jitsu match. I'm not gonna get hit if I'm playing guard, so it's okay to play guard and think about what you're gonna do from guard. You know, there's a lot of like, it's the full, you know, world of jiu-jitsu. You can play guard, you can wrestle up, you can pass the guard with your head in low, not with your head out wide so you can hit. And so you're not going to get hit. You know, you're not like, if a guy moves his hand, you're not flinching. You're not like thinking about, you know, shoulder rolling if a fucking hand comes over your, like the side of your peripheral vision here, you know, so that kind of goes out the window. So then after that match, I am completely switching. Yeah, obviously it's all grappling. It's pretty relatively similar. It's not like fishing or something, you know, it's quite similar. So I'm just going to be thinking much more of not being held down and holding someone down, pinning them, freeing up one of my arms, tying up both of their arms, staying heavy, not relinquishing any kind of position. So like, for example, if I'm passing their guard and they expose their back, I will take their back, but I will not take their back at the risk of ending up underneath them. I'd much rather go for the back take. And then if they start to sort of whip around and I don't have the ability to properly control them, I'll let them whip around and I'll go back in front of their guard. I'm not going to like risk trying to take their back, ending up on bottom, and then, you know, maybe scrambling up, separating, or really just using too much energy because it's, you know, you got to keep going if you do beat the guy. So very, very conservative about position. And the submission will come at them making mistakes, you know, reacting to my strikes, reacting to my pressure. So yeah, I'm not pulling guard in the gym at all. I'm not allowing myself to be held down. I'm practicing, you know, what happens if a guy does get you down, how to get up. I'm not like practicing playing guard. I'm just not letting myself get into that game right now. I'm also obviously simulating strikes. I'm keeping an eye on their hands because they get hit you from bottom, you know, it could fuck with you. And then, you know, you might like, oh, you reel back and then they re-guard on you or they scramble away and stand up. So you always kind of like hip in, chest in, so they can't really get a clean shot on your head. Yeah, I think that covers most of it. Maybe I'm forgetting some stuff, but yeah, just imagining, you know, hitting and not getting hit, not getting held down, holding them down.
I mean, that's interesting, man, because I could be wrong, but I feel like until recently, a lot of grapplers, professional grapplers, would come into these events basically just thinking, I'm going to do my jiu-jitsu. If I'm in a position to hit, that's great, and not really modifying their game much.
Yeah, I mean, that'll get you pretty far. Like it's not an MMA fight, so it's not like that much different from grappling from just a normal jiu-jitsu match. The difference is if you're accepting playing guard, then you better have a good enough guard to occupy their hands. Either you off balance them or you enter their legs and sit them down, or you do something. Because if you're just going to play guard like you would in an IBJJF match, you're probably maybe if you're good enough if you're better enough of a grappler than them, then yeah, you'll probably fuck them up, but you might eat a few palms on the way there. So
right on.
If you're okay with that, then by all means. But you know, everyone has their own sort of way of adjusting their training accordingly.
Right on. And you talked about Damien's KO. I'm not interviewing him I have no interview scheduled with him. Is he like, does he think he's going to get another KO? Are you guys trying to get a KO to like outdo him? What's the talk going into this now that he's kind of gone viral?
Oh yeah. That thing's epic. yeah, I definitely want to get a KO. I would love to just win, period. But if I can get a couple KOs under my belt, then yeah, we have this, like, yeah, I would say it's like we want to kind of one up each other. We have like we're competitors. Of course, we want to be the best, so yeah, I wanted a KO going into the first one, but I just ended up, the strikes just opened up for a submission. So I'm not going to like, all right, I'll take the submission, but definitely wanted the KO. And actually learned that Damien taught me like the proper technique, how to move your body to produce more force with your strikes, and to really make them count. So yeah, we'll see what we can do for this one.
And then I know at least the Team Alpha male, I'm sure there's a number of other like pro MMA fighters that you're going to go against in these matches.
Yeah.
Do you approach those types of matches very much differently? Guys that are like almost strictly MMA fighters, not to say they have poor grappling, but they're going to be very much focused on striking you.
Yeah, they're the ones that those matches are the most important to prioritize not being held down. If you are going against a jiu-jitsu guy, then you guys are going to wrestle. Whoever the better wrestler, all right, you take him down, he takes you down. The strikes from a jiu-jitsu guy probably won't be as dangerous as the strikes from an MMA guy. So yeah, the MMA guys in there, I'm going to be much more strict and aware of not being held underneath them. Like if they do take me down, I'm not the best wrestler in the world, but if they do manage to sit me down, I'm not just going to like hold on to a leg and play guard. And like, that's just not, I'm not comfortable there. I don't want to be there. I don't want to spend any second there. So I'm going to be getting up. I'm going to be forcing them to chase me, to pin me down. And in those scrambles, then you can work with your jiu-jitsu to scramble to their back, to scramble to a front head and get behind them and mat return and get them down, and then pin them down and use jiu-jitsu to hold them down. Use your grappling awareness. You should be a better grappler than that's the only thing you're doing. So if you get on top of them, you should be able to hold them down. So yeah, I guess the answer is, yeah, you do not want to be held down by the MMA guys. They will fuck you up.
Might seem obvious. Well, I'm pumped. You got me pumped talking about your team. I'm looking forward to it. Let's talk a little bit about the B team. You're, like I said, one of the stars, I would say one of the leaders of the B team. Can you describe to me how the atmosphere there is different than other places that you've trained at before?
Yeah. So far, it is by far my favorite training environment. It is not like one head guy and he teaches the classes and you go on technique training. It's a cooperative of a lot of different styles obviously styles of technique, but also different approaches to teaching. And they're all obviously, we teach a technique, or we teach X thing and then we train. So it's like the structure is not crazy different. It's not like we're, that innovative. It's just that we have a lot of different teachers who are all active competitors, who are all live in the sport, doing things on stage at all levels. We have beginner level coaches, intermediate, and expert, the guys at the top. And I would say from my experience, it's been now, I think like almost 2 years or a year and a half or something. I don't know, I forget, since we opened up. And it's just been very clear to me that the progression of the guys that have been, everyone's like kind of the guys that stay nonstop, and then there's a lot of visitors. It's just clear that like when the room is in full swing, people are getting better, and they're getting better really fast, which is motivating for me to see. And also I see them out there compete and they're killing it. It's not like we're just kind of in this bubble where like we think we're all getting really good, and then one guy goes and competes and gets like starched. Like it's like clear guys that we're training with are developing, and they compete and they do good. They compete and they do better and better. So it's really motivating to see the people we're training with grow in their own way and sort of develop their own style and then play with it in the gym and troubleshoot. And yeah, great environment.
Yeah, right on. And you guys all seem very close, I would say. And speaking of that, I may be a couple episodes behind, but you got the Simple Man podcast with you, Damien,
Yeah.
Nikki Rod. Talk to me about how that kind of came about.
Yeah, that was it happened pretty quick. We had the idea. We would always joke around, like we're all joking around in the gym, but the three of us specifically, me, Damien, Nikki, Rod, we'd always be messing around after training. And we had thought of the idea a while ago, I think, but never really made it happen. And one day we just got together. We're like, all right, let's just do it. Let's just get some camera equipment, get a producer, and boom, we sort of got the ball rolling, got a good audience going on YouTube. We just filmed one, so there should be one being released quite soon. Like, I think honestly, like either yesterday or today or tomorrow. And yeah, we're gonna keep that going. It's just fun. It's cool. We like catch up about what's been going on, the competitions that just happened, that are coming up, that are further down the road. So whatever the hell we want to talk about. A lot of shit stories in there. Probably more than I thought would be in there, having started the podcast. But hey, I guess it's what's it's what's on our mind. And yeah, it's just fun. It's just good camaraderie.
I will say a surprisingly high percentage of poop stories in the Simple Man podcast, from what I've heard.
Yeah. Hey, people seem to like it, so we'll just follow the trends.
One of my favorite storylines that you guys all seem to talk about, everybody in the B team seems to love to give shit to Nikki Ryan for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, from everybody, can you talk to me about why it's so fun to tease that? The tree mold story, hilarious. Everything is hilarious.
I mean,
why is it so
we
fun?
roast everyone equally. I get a lot of shit. Everyone does in their own way. I don't know. It's just funny. He's very like reserved, so it's fun to poke at him and try and get a reaction. He's like the quiet kid at school, so we all try and fuck with him. And but I think everyone fucks with everyone more or less equally. Yeah, pretty much.
That makes sense.
I guess.
And then speaking of fucking with everyone, I interviewed J Rod maybe a month or two ago, and unsolicited, he told me why he hates training with Craig Jones.
Oh man, yeah.
So I'm curious.
Sure I have the same feeling.
Why do you hate training with Craig Jones?
Dude, I guarantee you it's the same thing Jay said. It's just brutal. Like nothing. It's like it's just not fair. Like he'll hit bullshit from bullshit angles and laugh, and then like you'll throw your best attack at him and he'll just like counter in some stupid way that you shouldn't work, but for whatever reason it's working, and then he's just like mocking you while doing it. It's just torture. It's not fun.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That is basically what he said. And then kind of a general question. You're a pretty lighthearted guy. You don't seem to obviously you take your career very seriously in terms of what you put into it, but you're jovial, right? Nothing too serious. I'm curious, why do you think some guys, there is an element of the sport where guys kind of treat it like an MMA fight, right? This with like serious trash talk. Do you have any insight as to kind of where that comes from in jiu-jitsu, where we're kind of known as the lighthearted crowd?
Everyone's got their own way of either hyping themselves up or marketing themselves. I don't know what the right answer is. I'm doing whatever I feel like doing, really. It's not like one way is right or wrong, or up or down, left or right. I don't know what the right answer is. Obviously it's undeniably not as intense as an MMA fight. It's not as important, honestly. There's not as much money in it. It's not as big. So my perspective on that is like, it's kind of ridiculous to like blow it up as if you were an MMA fighter, which is just a more intense sport as a whole. It's riskier. It's just bigger. There's more money in it. It's like, it's crazier. I don't know. They're just probably either marketing it in their own way. Sometimes it's cringy. Sometimes it works. It's funny when it works, even if it's just a guy, all right, he's talking shit. That's good. I don't know. For me, I just like you're just grappling. You're not like, I don't know. You could say, oh, this guy sucks, that guy sucks, I'm better than this guy and that guy, but like I don't know. I don't see a lot of like wrestlers do it. I don't see a lot of like judo guys do it, but I don't know. Maybe we should do it. Maybe that's important for the development of the sport in some way, but it's just the worst is when they do it and then it's like an IBJJF match, double guard pull, and like a boring ass nothing match. And like that's just embarrassing. I would hate to be a part of that, especially if I was talking shit before the match. So at least make it exciting if you're gonna talk shit, but
yeah. Right on. I like what you're doing, man. 2023, kind of what are your goals? What are your plans? Are there any matches that you want to get next year?
Yeah. It's obvious. It's like, full speed ahead to make it into the next ADCC. It's going to be bigger and better if that's even possible. With Mo running it, it's going to be insane. The CJJ is obviously my main focus right now as we speak. It's in like 7 days. So definitely thinking about that, like an entire focus is on that. But coming up after that, maybe a tournament in January in Austin, actually, hopefully, but I'm not sure 100%, but I think that's going to be the next big one. And then matches coming up throughout the year is really just going to be focused on getting an invite to ADCC or, some kind of momentum to bring me into a position where they're talking about like a reality show for ADCC or something. So it could be something like that. I just want to win fucking everything I get my hands on and get into the shows that matter, get into the things that are important. UFC is moving into jiu-jitsu, it looks like, with Fight Pass Invitational. So yeah, those are the things I'm looking at. I'm looking obviously to compete as much as possible, but also to compete in the things that are going to be doing the most for my career, that are challenging and interesting to me personally. Like, I don't know, there's some matches out there that like would make sense, but I just don't really care about them personally. I don't know why. Like, I just don't really feel like going out and competing against this guy or that guy. Like, I want to do things that matter to me personally. I think I'm going to train for it better. I think I'm going to be more in it mentally. And yeah, pretty much it.
That makes sense. And I know you're not the one to call out, or you just said there's not specific matches maybe in mind, but from a fan's perspective, I would love to see you either rematch with Cisneros, because that match was super, super fun. And I'm sure maybe there's a part of you that wants to get that one back. I would also love to see you against a Baby Shark. You just submitted his teammate, another guy at your weight class who's obviously like top of the world right now. Either of those matches sound fun to you?
Those are two matches that are absolutely very, like I said, personally interesting. Obviously, Cisneros, I would love to get that one back. And yeah, it was a fun, it was like a scary match in the sense that like he's a dangerous guy. He's like constantly looking for that jumping triangle. Hard to hold down. He learned on the fly too. Like I did that like sort of double leg counter, and he countered my counter the next time I tried it. Definitely want to run that one back for sure. Obviously I got submitted, I want to get that one back. And Baby Shark, yeah, that's a no-brainer. I think everyone around my weight wants that match. Is the gold medalist going to have a target on his back, obviously, until well, I guess really until forever. He's the gold medalist at 66. So it's, that's a lot of hype around him. And yeah, beating him decisively, I would say is undeniable argument to merit an invite. So yeah, that would be a big one for me as well.
Awesome. Well, man, that's all I had for you today. Combat Jiu-Jitsu team duels this weekend. Looking forward to seeing you compete. Thanks again, Ethan. It was awesome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.